Top 10 Genetic Discoveries Seen for the First Time. As forefront innovation investigates the universe of DNA, it is turning out to be evident that qualities are not only for inherited attributes. They respond and change to outside incitement, and enthusiastic injury scars them. Taken qualities can even rush along advancement. Lately, first of their sort considers have uncovered terrible news for training and pets, just as notable accomplishment for beforehand untreatable diseases. Number 10. Chocolate Labradors shrinking lifespan. Labradors stay quite possibly the most well-known varieties. After the dark and yellow canines, chocolate Labradors are the most pursued. In any case, the interest for the canines could be slaughtering them. Their excellent earthy-colored coats are the after-effect of latent qualities. This implies that the two guardians should have the latent chocolate quality to create a chocolate litter. Therefore, the genetic stock is evaporating. In a huge veterinary investigation in the United Kingdom checked the strength of a wide range of Labradors. The outcomes tracked down that the earthy-colored assortment kicked the bucket sooner. By and large, non-chocolate Labradors lived very nearly 15 months longer to a mature period of 12.1 years. The interesting examination additionally established that the contracting chocolate qualities were more inclined to genuine illnesses. Reproducing for this alluring tone seemed to have concentrated qualities with a higher danger for ear and skin illnesses. These can be added to the hereditary issues all Labradors are inclined to, including indulging in joint conditions. As just a small portion of the world's chocolate Labradors were dissected, quite possibly the quantity of canines with significant issues is even higher. Number 9. Autolykiviridae. Researchers broke down seawater off the shoreline of Massachusetts. What they found added a frightening section to the book on infections. The examples uncovered an obscure group of infections that couldn't be recognized through ordinary logical methods. They had a place with the little comprehended gathering of tailless infections. Most others have twofold abandoned DNA, or tails. Disturbingly, examination showed that the new family, called Autolykiviridae, overwhelmed the sea. At the point when their strange DNA was contrasted with tests in a quality bank, there was an alarming match. Autolykiviridae, which ended up being a savage hunter of microscopic organisms, was in the ocean as well as in the human stomach. Why this infection sticks around inside individuals stays a mystery. Autolykiviridae patches things up a little with regards to the endlessly inadequate history of infection advancement. Amusingly, they seem to connect back to an antiquated viral branch with a particular protein shell that kept them from tainting microbes. Number 8. Smart genes disproved. A long-standing conviction expressed that skilled individuals would dominate in their gifts regardless of their monetary foundation. Purported keen qualities were thought to give such people an edge in training. In any case, another investigation uncovered that qualities came in second to riches. Scientists investigated the DNA, training level, and accomplishment of thousands of individuals. Stunningly, it showed that rich guardians, not virtuoso, allowed posterity a superior opportunity of being effective throughout everyday life. Researchers distinguished those with high hereditary potential and found that among the gathering naturally introduced to low-pay families, just around 24% moved on from school. As an unmistakable difference, 63% of talented understudies with well-off guardians graduated. At that point scientists saw study subjects with low hereditary scores. Those with major league salary guardians graduated at around 27%, besting the most capable gathering from a low-pay background easing. More or less, it features the squandered potential, not as a result of qualities. The two gatherings had comparable hereditary information, but since splendid individuals become lost despite any effort to the contrary of less monetary freedoms. Number 7. Huskies' blue eyes solved. Specialists directed their concentration toward a huge hereditary information base. It had been accumulated by an organization that pre-owned canine salivation to give proprietors heritage reports of their pets. The group went through the hereditary profiles to become familiar with canine hereditary qualities, specifically, why canines like Siberian Huskies have blue eyes. More than 6,000 canines and 200,000 hereditary markers were thought about. Generally, things stayed arbitrary enough to be mediocre. After a short time, notwithstanding, certain canines fired arranging in a similar locale on chromosome 18. They were the canines with the blue blinkers. Investigators focused on this fix to look for changes that may address the entire thing. They discovered something at no other time saw in hereditary qualities. Close to the typical quality answerable for eye improvement in well-evolved creatures was another called ALX4. The last had some way or another copied itself, and this eccentricity is answerable for the stunning imposing look. This obscure transformation doesn't cause blue eyes in people or some other known species. Number 6. Bacteria that harpoons DNA. Microscopic organisms are survivors that are not above taking unfamiliar DNA to adjust to another climate. Researchers have consistently thought about this wonderful capacity, which is classified even quality exchange. Though the interaction has never been seen, it was acknowledged that the living beings utilized whip-like arms called pili to grab stray DNA. The motivation behind why the move stayed undetected was the pili's little size, under 0.01% of the width of a human hair. The appropriate response was fluorescent color. In 2018, a Colorobacterium and pieces of DNA were colored and seen under a magnifying lens. In a wonderful video recording, the ruthless conduct was caught interestingly. The sparkling bacterium, some way or another detecting a close-by piece of DNA, whipped out a pili. The point was somewhat precarious. Notwithstanding, the bacterium caught the hereditary tidbit and burned through it. The pili straightforwardly stuffed the DNA into the bacterium to enliven its own evolution. There is a motivation behind why researchers need to discover however much as could be expected about level quality exchange. Later on, it could assist with combating antimicrobial safe microorganisms. Number 5. Dancing DNA mystery. Inside the core of a phone, the useful DNA is called chromatin, which looks like dots on a string. Past investigations identified development from chromatin. In any case, they couldn't answer how this was conceivable, not to mention why it occurred. Scientists ran recreations to tackle the secret. Unbelievably, the work uncovered that the slight movement distinguished in the past looked like an arranged line dance. It would show up as though the cell core concludes that everything should move, after which the chromatin shimmies into the ideal course. To move, the dabs on the chromatin grow and contract, which is felt by adjoining strings through liquid inside the core. This makes them adjust in a similar way. Lastly starts a progression of hereditary material dancing to where it is wanted. The reason behind the moving DNA stays obscure. However, scientists speculate that it could have something to do with how qualities work, change, and imitate. Number 4. New human DNA shape. In the realm of hereditary qualities, the two-fold helixes may be the most popular picture. In any case, analysts were stunned to track down that human DNA could bend into another shape. Instead of the delicate white tool of the two-fold helix, the new person looked like a curved bunch and is undeniably more mind-boggling. In logical language, it is alluded to as the intercalated theme structure. Its reality had effectively been suspected from lab tests, however this was the first occasion when these designs had showed up in living cells. Analysts built up a fluorescent counteracting agent that lit up the constructions. When seen interestingly, the bunches carried on abnormally. They squinted. This demonstrated that the I-themes effectively developed, broke up, and afterward framed once more. When and where they seemed offered significant hints to what the bunches do. They sprout in more seasoned cells when the last's DNA is read for useful data. Moreover, the I-themes favored locales where qualities are actuated or exchanged off. All this proposed that the bunches have an influence in if qualities are perused. Assuming this is the case, this DNA shape is basic to sound cells and strange bunches may bring about sickness. Number 3. Injection that cures blindness. An extraordinary leap forward in quality treatment was reported in 2018. It included a basic infusion to treat choroideremia, a range of eye illnesses and the most well-known reason behind untreatable visual impairment. The spearheading method was tried on 14 patients experiencing this condition, which is hereditary and regularly acquired. The treatment relied on an infection containing a missing quality which was conveyed to the rear of the eye with an infusion. This method was intended to influence the nerve cells in the retina. Among the patients, 12 had no results from the quality amendment. Amazingly, their sight quit crumbling and, in a few, improved fundamentally. All the more significantly, following 5 years, no one gave indications of any returning blindness. Without this treatment, a large portion of the guinea pigs would have lost their vision over the long run. The accomplishment of the world's first quality treatment preliminary for visual impairment prepares to treat different illnesses similarly. Number 2. Sex abuse scars DNA. The court framework may before long have another approach to affirm kid sex misuse. An examination tracked down that such youth injury could leave subatomic scars on the casualty's DNA. The guinea pigs were all men, including people who had endured maltreatment as kids. In hereditary qualities, methylation is a cycle that as of now gives police an age gauge of someone who abandoned DNA on a crime location. It likewise goes about as a diminishing device, influencing how much a quality is initiated. At the point when looked at, the casualties' methylation showed a particular contrast from the ones who experienced safe childhoods. The casualties showed darkening in 8 DNA locales with as much as 29% around there. This is uplifting news for the individuals who were manhandled, however not accepted. Later on, this changed methylation mark might be permissible in court as proof that injury occurred. The mark was found in the men's sperm, bringing up issues for future investigations about whether youngster misuse could convey a hereditary scar to the following generation. Number 1. NASA's Space Twins. Scott and Mark Kelly are NASA's just arrangement of indistinguishable twin space travelers. This made them significant as guinea pigs specifically, to perceive what space meant for the human body. Scott was sent into space for a year while his siblings stayed on Earth. At the point when Scott returned in 2016, the twins were not, at this point, so indistinguishable. Scott was taller, lighter, and had distinctive gut microorganisms. Peculiar things had happened to his qualities. NASA delivered a proclamation about their primer discoveries. It gave the idea that the afflictions of room travel initiated innumerable space qualities. Most returned to typical on Earth, yet some didn't. Among the actual cycles changed were Scott's vision, bone development, and insusceptible framework. The qualities connected to oxygen hardship and DNA fix additionally appeared to have changed for great. NASA needs the specific science behind why very nearly 7% of Scott's quality articulation didn't return to ordinary after years on Earth. The data could take into consideration more secure long-haul missions. More than 200 researchers are currently doing the math to read the Kelly siblings for answers.